Yes, what's up everyone? Welcome to yet another video. Today is the 25th of June, 24th of June. 24th of June, Tuesday, 2025. We are gonna dive right into today's analysis, just looking at how price has behaved from yesterday and then looking at the new day. What do we see? What are we seeing from price movement? We have seen some surprises from some of the pairs, and we are looking to sort of make sure that we are setting ourselves in the right way. So now looking at DXY. So DXY is the very first one we're going to look at, just to get the relative strength of the dollar. Well, what we can see is DXY has, been bearish for quite some time, coming from last night, getting into Asia range and waking up this morning. We've seen a big bearish engulfing candle, this one right here, which then indicates that the dollar might still be weakening as we continue. However, we've had some interesting breaking news this morning that Trump has announced a ceasefire between Israel and Iran in terms of looking with regards to that war. But we're still seeing the dollar print lower. So again, looking at that, we've been creating higher lows and higher highs. We can see that price has been moving pretty bearish. So then what might have happened is that we could have printed a lower high as of yesterday, and then we're just looking to continue bearish. So now with that said, what would I be looking for? I think with the bearish pressure, especially this big bearish engulfing candle, is a confirmation that we are going to the downside. We have broken significant structure there. So then we can look for sell continuations. I might just be looking for a pullback on the dollar index, and then we continue down with those sells. If we break down this region at around the 97,500 region, and we break there with a lot of momentum, then we can be confidently selling to the downside and carrying those continuations until maybe this 96 region, where price could react and bounce off as we continue. Then maybe the dollar would continue strengthening or would bounce back from that big bearish move. Now with that said, since dollar index is pretty bearish, then we also know what to anticipate, that these dollar pairs are going to be buying, which we have seen that price action. We can see EU has pretty much been buying continuously from last night. What I was kind of looking for was a pullback to maybe that area and then a continuation of the buys, but we don't seem to be doing that because the dollar index or the dollar strength is just tanking. So then what are we looking for? Okay, I think looking at this price action, I'd want us to close above this level right there with a bit of confidence. And then once we get that break, maybe come and retest. So a break and retest entry, and then continuations to the upside. That's what I'm looking at for EU. I was looking to pivot in case we got breaks or our price came down towards these areas or these zones. These are the zones, kind of the zones we'd be looking for sells. But for now, I think we're bullish, so let's just stick to momentum and, buy that trend, because the trend is our friend. We seem to consistently be printing higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. We could have just printed our higher low right there, and now we're looking to continue on to the upside, print that higher high, and then pull back, and then a continuation. So we'd be looking for some of those buys, and as we can see, price seems to be breaking above that level. At this moment, this candle might just print above here, and then we get another bullish candle with a continuation buy to the upside. Looking at GU as well, really quickly, similar to EU, I think we're bullish on GBP USD. So pound USD should give us a clean break to the upside, because we do know pound USD does quite move faster than EU. So we should get, I think we already are getting, once this candle closes in the next 2 hours, we can get a confirmed buy, a confirmed sell above that key level, above that key zone. However, I wouldn't just be entering quickly after that, because we could get a fake out in case anything happens tonight and the dollar regains its strength. So then what I'd be looking for is big aggressive candles. Big aggressive candles to the upside, and then maybe wait for that retest of that level and then get into continuation buys as we continue from this 136,500 level, and then possibly get our targets at the 137, 138 price level, because everything seems to continue with that uptrend as the dollar index continues to weaken. USD CAD, looking at that, yep, we did get a good inside bar right here. We have reacted off of this level, a level where we were looking for a price to react off of, which it really did. So we can see we came to that supply level right there, printed a week high, filled in some of this imbalance over here, and then broke again onto the downside. What I'd be looking for, a break there. Okay, I think we've already had our change of character right there, a confirmation. So then I'm looking for price to sort of pull back to that zone, and then we can continue selling because we are anticipating that the dollar will continue to weaken. Now, what has been happening for USD CAD, why it's not moving quite a bit? I think the Canadian dollar has also been weakening, so it's a balancing act, you know. Not too aggressive movements are happening at the moment. However, we're still bearish for USD CAD. AUD USD, again, looking for those buys. I think what we have seen is very interesting here. We got a weak fake out right there. If we look at the daily, we can see we reacted off a zone right there, and then we pushed back aggressively up. Something like a V-shaped pullback is what we've had. If we would have reacted off of this level and given some confirmations, possibly we could have gotten in for some sells, just if on condition that the dollar would have been stronger. But we've seen as of today that the dollar is still quite weak. So until it bounces back, we are looking for buys on AUD/USD. What I'd be looking for tonight to happen is for price to get back into some of this area, and then I'd be looking for continuation buys to the upside, with potential targets being the 0655, 066 price levels up there, because we have been in a channel for quite some time, and once we get to this level, I know we definitely will react before we can actually get continuation breakouts to the upside. So that's kind of what I'll be looking at for AUD/USD. Yes, live on the stream. So NZD/USD, let's see, similar to AUD/USD, big sharp pullback right here, a V-shaped pullback. We've broken above this zone that caused that break of structure. So then breaking above that zone is a strong break or a strong sign that we could be continuing to the upside. What I'm looking for again is just a retest of this area, and then we continue on to the upside with those continuation buys. If we look at gold, gold here, there was I was anticipating for those buys to continue, anticipating that this would be our higher low, because if you look at price action for the past couple of days, we've been creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We were a bit aggressive, thinking that this might be our higher low, and then these lows would stay strong. So once we got that aggressive push to the upside, I was looking for that retest, which did actually happen, and then we look for that continuation. However, overnight we can see that gold prices did drop quite drastically to the downside, and that invalidated this trade right here. So then what I'd be looking for, I'd sit on my hands at the moment, see how price reacts around this area right here. However, I'd want to see maybe price weak out this area now that we're here, maybe take out that liquidity and then react out of this 3200 zone, and possibly we continue buying, because I am still bullish on gold, especially now that we are seeing that the dollar is weakening day on day. Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of days, so we keep an eye out on price action for gold. BTC USD, still bullish here. We've seen a beautiful week out right here. If we look at the daily chart, we can see that big weak break, and then instantaneous reversal to the upside. So that gives us confidence that BTC wants to continue up. However, we are at a key level right there. Okay, so I wouldn't be quick to react, because you can then get price reaction and continue these sells to the downside. However, because I am bullish, so what I'd be waiting for is for price to give me a reaction off of this demand, off of this supply, possibly give me a pullback, then see how price reacts around this area. If it comes in aggressive, I might sit out. But if it comes in corrective, then I might be anticipating for a big impulsive break to the upside and then continuation of those buys. If I was to sell, I don't think I'd be selling around this area. If you're interested in any sells, I'd wait for price to sort of hit this extreme level, and then I can be interested in looking for any sells to the downside as we navigate this range right here between those highs and those lows. Let's see. That is BTC USD. Okay, let's head on over to, so that is some of our, those are some of our USD pairs. Let's head on over to Japanese yen. So this one is very interesting. As we have seen, Japanese yen has been declining week on week. So higher highs, higher lows. No, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows. And then as of last night, we've seen a good retracement to the upside with the Japanese buying pressure coming into the markets. So then what we can anticipate is potentially for price to get to this level and then react. Then we see some continued sells because we could have printed a confirmed lower high, higher low, right? So higher low, higher low, higher low. And then we continue on to the downside with that bearish pressure. Now, with that said, as of today, we are seeing that, what are we seeing? We are seeing that we're on that pullback phase, moving on up to the upside. So then we anticipate that USD JPY would be selling. This is a big, big interesting reaction off of this zone, right? Off of that high low. If we look at this from the daily chart, we can see that we've been coming down consistently. So this is good room for a higher low, okay? So then as of last night, we saw a big sharp reaction. Price was bullish, broke out of that major structure, and then now continued with a sharp V-sharp aggressive pullback, which indicates that we are selling, and that is indicative of the strengthening of the yen and the weakening of the dollar. Now, with that said, if I was to look for continuation sells, I'd wait for price to react off of that zone, and then we continue because we've seen that it has been tested before here as support. Price has also tested that area right there and right there. So we can wait to see how price reacts off of that, and then we can continue with those sells. If we continue strengthening the Japanese yen and the US dollar, just wishy-washes around strength and weakening, whatever that means, right? Strength and weakening. Hey, exhaustion. Let's see what Euro JPY has to offer here. So Euro JPY, again, still looking at those buys. However, we've seen that the Japanese yen is strengthening quite a bit. So I want to be watching how price reacts in that zone because I'm looking for these continuation buys. We got a big aggressive push to the upside. We've seen price giving us higher highs and higher lows, which has been good so far. This could also indicate that we are possibly in that pullback phase right after we took out big market structure right there. However, we did pull back slightly and then we continued. What I'd be looking for is how price reacts around this area. If price comes and breaks this low right here with big aggressive candles, then I'll know that we are anticipating a reversal and a continuation to the downside as the Japanese yen strengthens. But as for now, I'm still bullish on Euro JPY. So I'll be monitoring it today, tomorrow, just to make sure that we are on the right side of the trades. What are we looking at next? NAS 100. Again, continuation buys was what we were looking at. As of last night, we were somewhere here. We were waiting for price to sort of give us a pullback, which it really hasn't. It has just continued rallying to the upside, which I think can continue all the way up. If I was to look for continuation buys, maybe wait for a break aggressively of this key level to the upside, then possibly a corrective pullback, and then we can see if we can continue with our buys to the upside. Thanks again, guys, for watching. This has been a quick update of the trades. Again, today is Tuesday, 23rd of June, 2025, and that is what I'm looking at on my watch list. I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. If you haven't joined our Discord or our Telegram, our Telegram, please do so down below. I also do have educational content that is fantastic for beginners. Cheers, guys. Thank you.